to remind everybody of the bar is? You're happy, we all know it.
I think we're familiar, we've round the room. I think we're okay.
Hi Brendan, good to see you, mate.
Good afternoon.
Can we start with Hamza Choudhury? This new contract keeps him for another 4 years. How important was that for you to get him signed up?
Well, he's a very talented young player who's obviously come through the system here. He's a Leicester boy and knows everything about the club, developed through all the teams, and like you say, you can see he's a talent. Still have a lot of work to do, but it's great for ourselves, and I say we get another young player commit his future to here, so I'm delighted.
I noticed he started all 4 games for you this season, but he hasn't finished any of them. Does that suggest that he's a work in progress and you're trying to nurture him a little bit?
Yeah, no, he's a fantastic young player. I think it's just how the game goes, what you need in the game. He stepped up really well. When I first came in, he didn't play so much, but in games where we needed that real aggression and our pressing and to stabilise the team, he's been very, very important. So I think with Hamza, it's game to game. You know, I don't always tend to play with 2 sort of defensive midfield players. But if it requires that, then that's what we do. But whether he's asked to play or come off the bench or be in the team and come off, he does a great job for us, and he's a big talent. And like you say, he's still got a lot of work to do, but he's very focused on improving as a player.
Steve Bruce has spoken to us this morning and talked about the tackle that Hamza got a booking for against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. And I'll just tell you exactly what Steve's said and see what you think of it. These tackles are the ones that damage you. Let's hope the young lad learns from it, because he's a good player, the kid. So he's clearly an admirer, but he's not happy with that challenge. What would you say?
No, I spoke to Steve after the game. It's one of those challenges. He's very committed. You know, he's a real genuine, honest boy, Hamza. So he certainly wasn't looking to injure anyone. I think it's a strong challenge. He's gone in with the intent to win the ball, which was clear, and maybe just on the follow through. I think when you get in to win the tackle, maybe the follow through is just slightly injured young Richie. So, but certainly he wouldn't go in on purpose. He's a very strong player, very honest player, and we never want to lose that from him, because it's so important. But he understands it's a part of the game that he needs to focus on, as well as other aspects.
James Maddison's been called up. Southgate has spoken a lot about the lack of a traditional English number 10, I suppose. He's likened Paul Gascoigne of the past and said that free, creative player is something that he feels has been lacking in the English ranks for a while now. Could that be James Maddison? How important could he be for England going forward, do you think? Yeah,
James is a very, very talented player. I think he can play in a couple of positions. He has a wonderful personality. You know, in terms of off the field, he's a very humble boy. He plays with a real nice arrogance on the field, but outside of the field, he's a really humble boy. You know, he's come through the lower levels. He understands what it's like to do all the dirty work. He hasn't been in and around the Premier League all his life. He's come up through the levels. Played in, obviously, up in Scotland, played in League One, played in the Championship, now in the Premier League, and he still is a real working talent. You know, I've been so impressed by him since I come in. Whether I've played him in midfield in the central area or played him off the side, like away at Chelsea, he does what you're supposed to do as an attacking player. He creates goals and scores goals. So yeah, he's still improving, still developing his tactical idea of the game. But what he is, he's a big talent, and he's one of a number of players I think that Gareth will be so happy to work with over the coming years.
How's Ben Chilwell?
Yeah, he's back into the squad, so he'll be fit and available.
Any qualms that England have called him up when he's been struggling with an injury?
No, there's been consultation and dialogue between the association and the club. So, yeah, if he wasn't ready to go, we obviously wouldn't send him. But if he's fit and available for tomorrow, then yeah, he'll be fine to go.
The European transfer window is still open in most countries. Can you update us on Rachid Ghazal and the talks with Olympiacos?
No, nothing further to add. Obviously, we'll see what happens over the weekend, but but there's been no movement on that.
Would that be a loan deal potentially, or could it be a permanent?
Well, there's nothing concrete. It would just depend what the offer was for Rash.
Does the same apply to Diabate?
Yeah.
I won't press you any further on that, mate. That's fair enough. But look, the one question I wanted to ask you, that we're asking a lot of Premier League managers, is about the fact that the Premier League window closes before a lot of the European leagues. I know there's been a big discussion on this, but Mauricio Pochettino, probably because of the situation with Christian Eriksen, has made it clear that he thinks the Premier League should come back in line with the European leagues. What's your view?
Yeah, I would agree. I mentioned it last week, and I'll repeat. I felt on the outside looking in, I think the concept was right. I think whenever it was talked about a couple of years ago in terms of closing the window before the game or the match season starts, then that was a really good idea, and I felt that was really good if it's aligned across Europe. I think the problem is that if you ask yourself, are we at a disadvantage? Then we are. Of course, the window shuts at the beginning of the season, and then you could still lose your top player to European football, after that. So I think Maurizio is absolutely right. I think it puts the Premier League clubs at a disadvantage, but I still think it's a good idea to shut it, but it would have to be aligned across Europe.
Thank you. Final one from me. A quick one about Nathan Ake. We were told that after Harry Maguire had gone, that Nathan Ake was a player that appealed to you, but the price was too high. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
No.
Player you admire?
Yes, very much so. No, a very, very talented player.
Thanks, Brendan.
Okay.
Linda.
Brendan, James Maddison's been called up to the England squad. He was in the squad back in October, didn't get a start. How happy did you see him after he was called up, and do you think perhaps that he's more ready for that first start now, or to have some involvement than he had back then?
Well, it just depends what Gareth wants to do. I think first and foremost he's been rewarded for consistently playing the game at a really high level. I think in the short time I've been in here, since I've been working with him, he continued to improve and develop his game. He went away with the 21s and showed a brilliant attitude, even though it wasn't a really good tournament for the team and the squad. From an individual perspective, he played very well, and I think he showed his seniority there by, as I said, in some difficult moments, trying to show that leadership quality, and I think he's continued to show that. He like I said, his football talent is there for all to see. I think what he's learning is looking at a different idea of how to put that into different systems and how he plays tactically. But what he has is he's got this incredible natural ability that will always be a benefit to any team. So whether it's Leicester or whether it's England, so Gareth has got a lot of talented young players, and like I said, he'll always pick what is the best team to get the result that he wants.
Ben Chilwell's also in the squad now. He's missed the last couple, and Christian Fuchs has come into such great effect. I mean, Rob was talking about, has he gone with England when he's still unfit? But even though he's playing great potentially for England, will he struggle even to get back in because Christian Fuchs is doing such a fantastic job?
Well, I'm very fortunate. We've got two outstanding left backs that are slightly different. Ben's the real up and coming big talent in the country, and it's clear for all to see when he's playing at that level. Then he's our number one left back. But Christian is someone that I was very keen to sign on here for a further period, and hopefully in this last week or so we've seen why, because he keeps himself super fit. He's very focused. He's very much a team player, and however I asked him to play, he does it to a really high level. So yeah, I'm fortunate. I've got two very good, different but very good fullbacks.
A couple of weeks ago I was here and asked you about Demarai Gray, who hadn't been in the matchday squad. He's now back in, hasn't had any minutes yet. Has he shown you that he more in training than he had previously? Yeah,
it's a very long season. Demarai's a very talented player, and he's one of many talents that we have. He's obviously will want to play a part at some point, but he's ready and he's working very, very hard in training, and that's all we ask. And then if he's put into the games, I know he's got the talent to produce.
And similarly, Iheanacho hasn't been in the last two. He's in the Nigeria squad, but is it a similar situation with him then?
Yeah, he's been working very, very hard. Like I said, if I could put them all on the bench, then we would do that. But strategically you're always picking the bench for the games that you're playing, and if they're not starting or not on the bench, it's unfortunate, really. And it's the hardest job of a manager, because I've got the players that are working so hard every single day. We ask them to suffer in training, and they give everything. And it's the hard part when you have to tell and speak to players that aren't even in the squad. But they're very committed for the spirit of the team here. Everyone knows it's a long season. They'll all get the opportunity at some point. They just have to be ready. And like Christian has shown, he at the beginning he wasn't in the squad, and yet when Ben was out, he was asked to come in, and he can only play to that level because of his training and his mentality and his focus, and so he's a great example for all the players. And
in terms of players coming in or out, did he still out? Can you tell us how team news or anything like that for them?
No, Wilf is back in the squad. We could have maybe taken him in the midweek, but we wanted to give him a good week's training, so he'll come back into the squad.
Anyone else? They're all okay?
Yeah, no, apart from that, everyone is fine. Wes obviously come off with an issue with his back, so we're just waiting to see the final results of that. If he's not available for tomorrow, then he'll be ready for our next game after the break.
And Bournemouth this season, they're a team that you've got a pretty good record against.
Well, they're a very good side. I'm an admirer of Eddie and the work he's consistently done at Bournemouth over a number of years now. They're a very dangerous team. I played them in one of my first games when I came here, and they get very fast players, very very dynamic players. So we have to be really concentrated in the game and look to bring our quality into it. But we'll prepare for a tough match.
Hi, Brendan.
Hi.
On injuries and Wes Morgan's back problem with Harry Maguire going in the summer, of course, have you got defensive cover for a centre half tomorrow? Is Filip Benkovic fit enough to be on the bench at the minute? Yeah,
we've got enough cover. We've got Filip who's available. We've got Christian Fuchs, who can play left side centre half, comfortable, and we've got Wilf Ndidi, who was a centre half in Belgium before he played in midfield. So we've got enough cover. We're fine.
You mentioned Hamza Choudhury earlier on. How rare are those sorts of players to come through an academy, Brendan? Because in 2019, a lot of youngsters see Messi and Ronaldo and want to score goals or want to be creative James Maddisons, but Hamza, as you've already mentioned, is an aggressive, tough tackling midfielder. Are they more rare coming through a rank than they used to be, do you feel?
Yeah, it's just that the game has changed. The game is totally different, but you still need to have a player of that type. You need to have that player that can break up the game, as well as play football. It is very, very important at the very highest level that you've got players that are really aggressive, can press the game. And this is something that is, he's really only coming into the fold on a consistent basis now, Hamza. He's a wonderful boy. From the first day coming in here, he plays with a smile, he enjoys it. He's very honest. If he makes a mistake, it's an honest mistake. It's his game, but he also knows the areas in his game that we're trying to improve and develop, because to play at, in the Premier League, you can't just be the tough tackler midfield player. He actually passes the ball really well. So it's just keep improving his game. He's learning. He'll make mistakes like we all do, and like I say, he'll go on to be a very, very good player for Leicester City.
After what's happened with the tackle on Matt Ritchie, how you mentioned improving. If you do need to take aggression out of a player or ask them to reduce it or turn it down a little bit, how fragile or difficult is that when it's such a large part of their game, and especially to a young player?
No, you want the players to have the edge, because the best players have that. It's just controlling it, and that's just time, that's just experience. That's been in situations that allow you to make the mistake and then learn from it. That's what's key. The last thing any player like that wants to become is a liability. You have to know as a coach or manager that you're putting a player into the game that he's going to be aggressive, because you don't want timid players. You don't want players that tiptoe around it. You're going to play an aggressive game. You need players that have that intent to win the ball but at the same time, it always has to be controlled. And I think for him, like I said, I thought the tackle the other night, it was strong, it was aggressive, but I didn't think it was over the top. So and hence the reason why he got the yellow card. But he'll learn from it. He's a great boy, and he'll be better for all these experiences.
How dangerous is it to get a reputation for that element of a game as well? Incidentally, I agree regarding the tackle. I was there that night, and I didn't think it was a foul, quite frankly, but that's by the by. How dangerous is it to get a reputation? Of course, he had an issue with the 21s in the summer with a red card, and this has been blown up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think it's just over time. I think that he's always going to be in those duels because that's his job. His job is to break up the game, win the ball, and serve it. That's his job. So I think the nature now of football is that, like I said, you have to be that little bit more careful. That it's not dangerous or reckless. But this is all part of his learning. This is all part of his development.
At Bournemouth at home last season, Brendan, if my memory serves me correctly, Jamie Vardy scored a header that came from an incredible cross from Youri Tielemans and the kind of inside right channel. It was an incredible ball,
yeah.
and Jamie Vardy headed it home. Have we seen that Youri Tielemans this season as yet, do you feel?
I think it's just time. With him. I think with all the players that people will see, players are still finding their feet in terms of fitness. He was one that came back to us a little bit later as well. So probably isn't quite up to full match speed yet, like most players. But he's a big talent, Youri. There's no doubt about that. And it's a long season. He's a very, very important player for us. What he gives us in terms of the final pass and the quality and his view of the game. He's such a wonderful player for us. So he and the team hasn't been perfect, but perfect, you don't get that in football and in life. What you do is you get the job done, and whilst we're improving and developing, and whilst he is as well, then he will continue to work and help the team. So I've got absolutely no doubt that over the course of the season he will get better and better.
And we're talking about improvements with 2 wins and 2 draws and an unbeaten season. I'm plainly aware of that as well, which just talks about clearly the standards and expectations around here. I asked the Birch this question, and I'm going to put it to you. If Leicester City were a 6-gear car, what gear are they currently in?
Well, I think we're trying to move through the gears. I think that's what we're trying to do. I think our idea was to start strong, and I think we've done that. But the nature of how we want to work is, and I'm a coach that isn't just about winning. We have to win at this level. That's why we're here. But alongside that, it's about performance and development of players. And I think as the season goes on, we'll get better and better. Our overall idea is to arrive into the second part of the season in a really good place to really push. But at this point of the season, where I sit now, when we come back in the first day of pre-season, if we would have said, listen, just before the international break, we're going to start how we've started, and we've got a game against Bournemouth that we're looking to get 3 points. If we win that, then I think it's been a fantastic start for us. So, but like I say, it's a long season, and hopefully we'll move through the gears.
Was Birchie far off with his 2nd or 3rd gear that he suggested?
Listen, that's for you guys to write. So,
a final question. How do you make sure that Jamie Vardy gets more than 3 shots on goal in his first few games? Again, you're where you are and you're unbeaten, and Vardy's scoring and penalty shootout wins, and we're picking the bones out of a good start. But I know he will probably want more chances, and you may want more from him. How do you get him more?
I just think it's the nature of the games that we've played. So if you think the teams that we've played up against, really low, compact defences. I think our first game against Wolves, very deep, playing with the back 5. Sheffield United, playing with the back 5, deep. Newcastle United, deep, playing with the back 5. Then you go into the Chelsea game, so there's a bit more space, and people would argue we played really well in that game. So, but we have to be able to adapt. But obviously, when you're playing against teams that are really low and really tight and organised, then naturally the chances will be limited. what is important is that when they do arrive, you've got to be able to take them. I think our game against Bournemouth here last year, we played very, very well. We were very aggressive, very intense. And we hope to bring that level of game, which will see us get the 3 points.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, we'll nip next door for the dailies.
Okay.
Thank you.